Hello and welcome to Star Wars Hour.
Hey,
I'm Rich Alvarez with special guest Corey. Corey, how's it going, bud?
I'm doing pretty well. Rich, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing as good as I can be. We've had some interesting news this week. I mean, if we didn't always have interesting Star Wars news, why would we do this show? So Mark Hamill has just come out and been like, he disagreed a lot with what happened with Episode 8. A lot of the fans' concerns were his concerns. And he had problems with Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy. He didn't think that they took Luke in the direction that he always imagined that his character would. So he's pretty much like, I don't think I'm going to come back. Because we've all expected him to come back as a Force ghost or something to that degree in Episode 9. But now he's like, after Carrie's death and the character death of Han Solo, I feel like I'm the only one that can really come back, and I just don't know if I want to. I don't need to come back. He has no desire to come back, so it's going to take a lot of convincing to get him to come back. Corey, what do you think about all of that?
I think you're spot on, except for the guttural screech at the beginning. I don't know. I feel like Mark Hamill is usually a very articulate person. I think he would be able to voice his concerns without going into onomatopoeic cacophony. Also, saying hello to our viewers, we have iJosh64. Good to have you back, iJosh. You were there the last time I was on. Garrett540. I mean, don't you have other channels to watch?
Garrett
I'm
also
just
says
saying, the internet's a big place.
that the title is grammatically funky. And yes, it is a little grammatically funky, but it is clickbaity okay. It is exactly the way you want to do it. Mark Hamill okay not returning for Episode 9? Clickbait. And that's what you got to do if you want to get noticed on the internet, unfortunately.
It's true. We got to play to our audience.
Got to put it up. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of, all in all today. Usually we
Love
talk
you too, buddy.
Usually we talk for like 40, 50 minutes and then save the last 10 minutes for questions. I know that we've been kind of playing fast and loose with those rules as of late, but here's what we're going to do today. We are actually going to be taking your questions as we go today. Consider this episode, for the most part, a Q&A episode. We're going to get the ball rolling by talking about things like this Mark Hamill thing and just let you ask questions as you go. So as of who's in the chat right now, iJosh64, Garrett540, you guys go ahead and ask your Star Wars questions and we'll be ready to answer them right away. So just go ahead and keep asking. All right. So in the interest of Mark Hamill not returning for Episode 9, do you think that this is perhaps, although I don't really imagine Mark Hamill to do this sort of thing, do you think that this could potentially be a power play for him to get more money out of whatever role that they offer him for Episode 9? Like he's like kind of preemptively like, oh, I don't want to do it, so that where they're like, oh, no, Mark Hamill, here's $50 million, like what do you think? Do you think that he could be doing a little bit of the power play?
I guess with really anything in the entertainment business, the answer is sort of a tepid maybe.
Your buddy Mark Hamill you see every day, and you completely know his intentions.
Exactly, just some filthy casual on the internet with YouTube's Rich Alvarez talking about Star Wars. Really, maybe he'd just sort of take it at face value. Maybe Mark Hamill, his heart just isn't in it anymore.
I don't think it is, yeah.
The honeymoon period of, 30-ish years kind of went off. He was Luke Skywalker, and then he's been able to build such a successful voice acting career, voicing such seminal animated hits as the Joker. Also Skips from a regular show. You should watch it if you have not. That show is a masterpiece. Mm-hmm. So, maybe he is just... he's getting up there in years. He's probably tired. He's been pretty productive for most of his adult life. And maybe they do just shower him in money and give him a solid gold house and give him a rhinestone unicorn. And then, sure, maybe it'll all work out for us in the end. But it's so hard to tell. So much of it goes on behind closed doors and behind NDA agreements. So it just sort of is what it is.
I think that if Episode 9 is potentially ending the main saga, before we move on to just complete obscurity with spinoffs and everything, I think it is going to be important to bring him back as a Force ghost. Because, if this is supposed to wrap up everything, I would expect Luke, Force Ghost Anakin, even Force Ghost Yoda, Force Ghost Obi-Wan, Force Ghost every character that's ever been there. I think that, especially they teased us with Yoda in Episode 8. I think that you got to have your Force Ghost game on like.
It's true,
and I think that a lot of fans were unhappy with Luke's whole thing in episode 8. If you bring him back as this very like, solemn ghost in episode 9, and he saw the error of his, ways in all of that, and he's kind of guiding Rey towards the finale here. I think that people will, that'll kind of go a long way for some of the fans forgiving episode 8 for its alleged wrongdoings. Again, we didn't really have a problem with episode 8,
no,
but a lot of people did, and I can see why. And I think that I would like to see a very redemptive Luke Skywalker ghost in episode 9 for me personally, and I think a lot of fans are kind of on that same page. So I do think that they need to offer him whatever it is he wants to get him back on board with episode 9.
Counterpoint: skip Luke Skywalker entirely. Ghost Yoda. Go straight, hangs out with Rey. I feel like they vibe together. They're both, I don't know. I feel like that could be fun. I'd be okay with Ghost Yoda just showing up, being like, "Hey, you've never met me before, but I'm kooky. Let's go learn about the Force." And she'd be like, "Okay." Also, hello to AK65234. Thank you for stopping by. iJosh64 says, actually, I think Mark cares personally. He seems pretty similar to the fans, and I don't blame him. I don't really blame him at all either. He's always shown some amount of passion for any of the projects that he's been in. He's always very enthusiastic on press tours and interviews. So I don't think he's really lost touch with the IP as it is, but maybe just being a part of it and not, like being the sort of like in the spotlight, as opposed to just sitting back and just sort of enjoying the overall vision for what it is now, as opposed to what it is with you involved.
This could be another case of Mark just talking and the media kind of sensationalizing what he's talking about.
I mean, look, we've been talking about it for what now? About 10 minutes now. So obviously, if that's what he's going for, it's working.
Yeah, but, he says a lot of things, and then later he's like, well, I didn't quite mean it like that, but like, because Mark Hamill's not like, he doesn't consult his PR rep before he goes and does an interview. He's just like, this is what I think right now, which is fine, but then it's like, that means, of course, that being Mark Hamill, he could in 2 months be like, no, I'm going to be in episode 9, they took what I said out of context, yada, 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 and he could do that, and we'd be like, okay.
My yacht rent's due. We gotta do this. Yeah. Guess I gotta go be Luke Skywalker again.
Oh, darn.
Darn.
So, there's all of that. It is exactly April. I'm not seeing a date anywhere on the
Hang on, 11th. It's the 11th.
Okay.
Fitbit says so.
Oh, cool. It is April 11th, ladies and gentlemen. It has been 2 months since Disney announced, or kind of like the leak happened, that they were looking for a new licensor for Star Wars games. As of right now, EA still has the solid and exclusive license to Star Wars gaming. They've had the license since 2012 and have only produced 2 Star Wars Battlefront video games in a world where in the 90s we used to have like 7 or 8 really good Star Wars games every year. So I'm definitely on the train of EA not really being responsible, or at least not as lucrative as they could be with this Star Wars license. I know that they probably think that they have to do the loot boxes thing and that they can only have a massive multiplayer game to represent Star Wars, but it's not true. We crave so much as Star Wars fans. And of course, the leak did say that Activision was in the running to get that license. My buddy Garrett, who is in the chat, thinks that there should be kind of a overall umbrella license where any studio can kind of pick it up under the guidance of Lucasfilm, which is another interesting idea. I do think that it should be it's going to be up to one studio to handle, unless they do get some kind of Lucasfilm game committee going. And Activision Blizzard wouldn't be a bad place for it to go. They certainly, without fail, pump out a Call of Duty game every year, so they definitely know how to market and distribute and produce a game and do it in a timely manner better than EA, perhaps. Corey, who do you think should have the Star Wars gaming license?
I would be A-okay with having Activision Blizzard at the helm. Personally, I grew up playing any and all Blizzard games, anything from Warcraft, like Warcraft Orcs and Humans, Diablo 1, Diablo 2. I will say Blizzard kind of hit a rough patch from about 2010 to, I'd say about 2015. So about a 5-year stretch where things felt a little forced, and maybe that was just due to the growing pains with their merger with Activision. But now I would say with the marker of like Legacy of the Void, they've really returned to that sort of Blizzard magic. I know I'm focusing a lot on the Blizzard side here, but that's the side that I have a lot more experience with. When you have that kind of developer handling their own unique IPs with such integrity and focus and vision and breadth, I'd be very interested to see what they could do with an existing IP and taking on Star Wars and maybe taking it on like a road less traveled by, a little bit different, but who knows? Cautiously optimistic.
That would be interesting if the Blizzard side of things got their hands on Star Wars. I think realistically we're talking the Activision side of Activision Blizzard.
We can only hope. I can only be optimistic on my side.
Yeah, iJust64 brings up a good point. He says, like LucasArts, because I brought up the Lucasfilm Game Committee. Yes, back in the 80s, it started as the Lucasfilm Game Committee, and then it evolved into LucasArts, which became the main publisher of Star Wars games, Indiana Jones games, The Secret of Monkey Island games, all those good games. But then Disney, when they bought Lucasfilm, for some reason they thought it was the best idea to dissolve LucasArts completely and give the license to EA. Apparently there was some internal struggles and strife going on at LucasArts. I don't know. I do think that they should have kind of cleaned house, kind of got rid of whoever the problems were, and then kind of refocused the group. Instead, they just decided to go, just get rid of the whole thing. So, yes, in a nutshell, I think that the best thing that they could do is bring LucasArts back, and then LucasArts can handle the publishing and then pick their own developers. Will that happen? Who knows? But that's what they should do. They should really need to stop being lazy and just, make it in-house again. That's what I think. Gravedigger says, let's give it to Square Enix. We can expect a game in about 15 years.
I mean, you're not wrong, Gravedigger.
How long ago was it the Kingdom Hearts 2 came out? Was it 2006, 2007?
I don't even think that. I think it may have been like 2005.
Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, it's been a while, and then a bunch of weird spin-offs. Some are okay. But anyways, yeah, Square, especially the way they handled the Secret of Mana remake being terrible, and the way that it's taking them so long to get out anything for the 7 remake, Square's just not doing it these days. And they took 10 years plus to get out Final Fantasy 15, and then the last couple hours of that game feels horrendously unfinished. Great game overall, though. No, Square, no. They cannot do Star Wars. I liked Square back in the 90s, but today they're a mess. No. Activision. Activision's like, if you're going to give it exclusively to another game studio, Activision, it's got to be Activision.
Well, if not Activision, who would be sort of your second pick? Who's your second draft pick for... Because it's so easy to go to our first one. I think I have an idea of which one you would go with.
Yeah.
I think it starts with a B and rhymes with Bethesda.
That's correct, Corey. Yeah, if it was up to me, if I had the magic fingers to pick any game developer in the world, I would pick Bethesda, because they make the best role-playing games in the world right now. It would take them 3 or 4 years, because that's their common development cycle.
That's kind of just par for the course for them.
But at the end of the day, or at the end of 3 or 4 years, we'd get a really kick-ass Star Wars game. Bethesda right now is actually working on a space RPG in the style of Fallout and Elder Scrolls right now. They've said they've been working on a space game. Mm-hmm. Could Disney give them the Star Wars license, and then could they
just reskin it?
Reskin it a little bit and turn it into a Star Wars game. If that becomes the case, that probably won't happen, but if that did become the case, that means that Bethesda is already 2 years into developing a game. And it would be so easy to slap Star Wars on that, probably. So we could see a Bethesda Star Wars game in as little as a year. If that happens, please pick Bethesda.
I would feel so bad for those poor story developers who've been like slaving away for the last couple of years. They've been building. Basically, they're trying to build a universe right now that can rival Star Wars. Like, Star Wars is just the par for space operas. So they've been sitting and they're like, yeah, we've got some great space designs. We've got some great ships. We have some really great flora and fauna that feels like very removed. This is all speculation. And then someone just kicks down the door and they're like, nope, scrap it. We're doing Star Wars. All those great things. Nope, we're doing Wookiees.
No. Imagine though, if they did, do Star Wars. I know it wouldn't be that hard to maybe change one or two of the main characters in their story to like Star Wars species,
Oh yeah.
Like if they have like unique species too, they just be like, okay, well yeah, that's a Wookiee now or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like the planets, maybe like, oh, we have this ice planet. Guess that's Hoth now, or maybe they do have a really unique planet in another part of the galaxy. Then they've just created a brand new Star Wars planet, That could be Harloff Minor for all I care, because they have not shown Harloff Minor in anything past a novel, so we don't really know what it looks like. There's tons of Star Wars planets that haven't been seen yet. They could just slap a name on it,
Yeah.
This is Yavin 7. But yeah, Bethesda would obviously make the best game. We'd love to hear more questions, guys. Keep putting out those questions. We need to answer your questions.
Questions away.
What else has been going on in the world of Star Wars?
I've got one for you.
Cool.
So, in case y'all didn't know, Star Wars apparently inspired 9/11.
Oh no.
So we're not gonna dive too deep into this, but apparently Margaret Atwood, the author of the eponymous *Handmaid's Tale*, which you might have seen either read or seen on, I believe it's on Hulu.
Yes.
So the author of *The Handmaid's Tale* came out in an interview, I believe it was with Variety, and I honestly don't know if it was tongue in cheek or if someone was being actually serious with it. But she basically said that Star Wars was the blueprint for 9/11. So we're not going to dive into the national tragedies and how creative IPs will function in it. But I guess that's a thing now. So take it for what you will.
Yeah. We're not going to really dive into that one right now.
We're just tiptoeing around.
But yeah, just the idea that Star Wars could inspire something like that is just completely ridiculous.
Yes. I agree wholeheartedly with you, iJaw64. That's, you could be tongue-in-cheek and you could be kind of incendiary with a lot of things, but I feel like that just sort of falls flat no matter which way you spin it. So, yeah.
Hey, Crazy Hannah is back! Yay! She says, sorry I wasn't on time. I was in class and then got out too late and now I'm at home or something like that.
Well, good for you for staying in class, Crazy Hannah. Everyone stay in school. That's the only way that we're going to get jobs these days.
Yeah, well, Hannah, and I see Hockey Song is in here too. Don't forget, we're doing a special Q&A type episode today, so just ask your questions at any time. Please ask them now, because we will be answering them as soon as possible. Or we're answering them as we go.
Yeah, Hockey Song had some great questions from last time, so if you have anything else percolating, Hockey Song, go ahead and send them. Yeah, percolating, it's a great word. Also goes with coffee. Go ahead and send them our way. We want to get your take. And now you see that we've gotten to the end of our content.
Yeah, that's why we're doing all these questions. Because, besides Mark Hamill and that 9/11 thing, there wasn't a whole lot of new Star Wars news. They haven't even calculated how much Star Wars Episode 8 is made on DVD and Blu-ray yet, so we can't even talk about home video sales or any of that jazz. No, Hockey Song, we will not be answering any more questions about 9/11. Great. Look what you started, Corey!
So like pits can't melt steel beams. One other thing.
Have any of this video taken off the internet?
Right? How many of you have seen the latest Solo trailer? It looks like it came out a couple of days ago. It goes into just a little bit more as to the overall plot of Solo, a Star Wars story. That
probably would have been our main topic today if the Mark Hamill thing hadn't come out. Because that trailer was just a couple of days ago. I didn't feel like it was really worth talking about, honestly, because it didn't feel... It had maybe a few new bits, but it didn't feel that different from the previous trailers we got.
See, I would disagree, because I feel like it, instead of just giving us these stills and these sort of like voiceless... brooding walks of Aldrin going through the Millennium Falcon and all that good stuff with some like Amelia Clark voiceovers of like, ooh, vague character points, your personality, why? Now instead we have sort of a more narrative beginning, middle, end structure. We kind of know what's going on with it. Just go ahead and watch it. I've gone from cautiously optimistic about the movie to mildly optimistic about it.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more fun in there than the previous trailer, I will say.
Looks like we do have a couple more questions. Crazy Hannah, what will you guys look forward to in Star Wars Land or Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland or Disney World when they open in 2019?
Yeah, Galaxy's Edge is the official name for Star Wars Land. I personally don't like that. I wish they would just call it Star Wars Land, because why not?
Or call it a galaxy far, far away. See, I feel like that has some whimsy and wonder to it. That's very Disney. They dropped the ball here.
Right. What I'm looking forward to is the completely functional and operational cantina.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
And then, the Millennium Falcon you can apparently go into, and it's pretty functioning in there. Functioning. Shway.
Swing.
I'm just looking forward to the whole thing. There's a whole lot they haven't really announced yet, but just any Star Wars rides, any Star Wars attractions, Star Wars people walking around. I'm excited. I'm just super excited for the whole thing. They originally said it was supposed to come out in 2017, which was last year. Now they're saying 2019. Mark my words, it'll be delayed till at least 2022. But whenever it finally shows its face, I'm looking forward to it, and I just can't wait to be completely immersed into a Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I'm very eager to see what the Imagineers have had to do with Disney. What I will say is the last couple times that I've been to Disneyland, everything kind of looks a little worn. Now, that's not to say that they don't keep up with the park, but a lot of the production techniques and the construction techniques that they've used to build things, to maintain things, I feel like, at least from a park-goer's perspective, nothing has really evolved or changed since I was a kid in like the 90s when Indiana Jones came out. That was huge. That was innovative. The innovations that had to take place to give the rolling boulder at Disneyland were just phenomenal. Everyone lost their minds. But following that, nothing has really grabbed me as a park goer. And I will also preface and say that I used to work for Disney. I used to, indeed, I used to work in the parks, so I was around it. And that's just sort of the impression that I've had as far as like the Disney veneer is concerned. So
veneer.
Indeed. Percolating and veneer.
You're using 2 words today. The word of the day is veneer.
So with something like Star Wars Land, and obviously Disney is going all out with it, I'll be very interested to see what sort of new techniques and what new construction and new production that they're going to use in it to really, up the ante with it. Let's see. Do we have...
I got a problem with my nose today.
It's okay. These things happen. Allergies in California. It's the worst.
All right, guys. Questions. We're going to take a couple more questions. Then we might call it a day early today because it's going to be like this for a while. Okay. Everybody, so I told you guys not to do your damn 9/11 questions, and all we have is 9/11 questions.
Well, it looks like there might be some actual real-world inspiration and things that came from it that iJosh is talking about. Unfortunately, iJosh, I'm not terribly familiar with the Yuuzhan Vong. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not familiar with that arc or a lot of the extended universe canon, so I can't really touch on it. I do say it looks kind of interesting, and I think after the show I'll have to go take a look and see if I can draw the same conclusions that you are. But who knows? Could be interesting. I know a lot of creative license and a lot of creative IPs do end up strangely paralleling current events and sometimes national tragedies. So maybe that's just one of those other cases. Looks like Crazy Hannah has one more for us. Gasp! Oh my gosh! XD. That's awesome. I'm a park goer. Love to see the areas and places moving the mic that Disney do to evolve their parks. Like, I'm really looking forward to Toy Story Land. I was not aware of Toy Story Land. So, is that going to be over in California Adventure? Where,
I believe so.
In over where Paradise Pier is, and or okay, hockey song's coming. Should Star Wars The Clone Wars return for a couple more seasons?
There's no real reason for Star Wars The Clone Wars to return for more seasons. Almost every loose end from The Clone Wars was wrapped up beautifully in Rebels, which in my opinion, Rebels is the superior show. Everything, they really tweaked the storytelling and they had a group of people they followed the whole time. I feel like Clone Wars kind of went a whole bunch of ways during it. There were some great arcs during the Clone Wars, but overall I feel like Rebels was better. It wrapped up loose ends from Clone Wars, and they're not going to focus on making new seasons of Clone Wars when the next show is going to be focused on Sabine and Ahsoka. That they teased that at the end of the last episode of Rebels, that it's going to focus on Sabine and Ahsoka looking for Ezra, and I'm looking forward to that show. There's really no reason to do anything but what they have planned. Anyways, that's all.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I would like to see it. Really, so much of my opinion of Star Wars is I want to see other sides of the universe, different sides of the coins, get away from the Jedi, get away from the Skywalker family, and just see what all that entire galaxy far, far away has to offer. Also, Josh, thank you very much for clarifying. I now have a better idea of what you were going for, so thank you for that. Clone Wars was supposed to be a couple more seasons.
Yes, Clone Wars was supposed to be a couple more seasons before it was canceled, but because it got canceled, they carried over those arcs into Rebels and retweaked what they were going to do in Rebels. Whatever they were going to do in Clone Wars wouldn't work anymore because they've already resolved those issues in Rebels. I hope that makes sense. Like, Rebels negated anything they would have done in Clone Wars at this point. I have voicemail messages.
You are popular.
Yeah, there's a phone call I gotta take soon.
Well, maybe they have a question for the Star Wars Hour.
You doubt it! Clone Wars canceled. It's been taken care of. La 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 la. Yep. Do it, Hannah. Catch up on Rebels. The ending was fantastic.
Also, Hannah, thank you for clarifying that it's going to be going into Hollywood studios. I used to work over there a lot, so this was years and years and years ago. I worked there in 2010. So I don't want to talk about how long that's been. It's been a while. Okay, let's see. Cosmic Mapping has stopped by. Looks like, hey Rich, just wanted to express my gratitude for everything you've done for us over the past decade. Started watching your stuff when I was 7. Wow, when you were 7, and it's really made a difference in my life. Keep it up.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Cosmic Mapping.
That's really nice, Cosmic Mapping.
It's really good to see some fans, come and talk to me that haven't talked to me before, and I'm glad that I could have any impact on your life and your YouTube viewing experience, and I'm happy to be of service as always.
All right, looks like Hockey Song's got one more for us. Did you guys notice when Luke said Darth Sidious in Return of the Jedi? Was that like a different cut?
I think he meant in The Last Jedi, because in The Last Jedi he goes like, they were all fooled by the Darth Sidious.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, the name Darth Sidious was not mentioned in Return of the Jedi. Palpatine is only mentioned as the Emperor in that movie.
Yeah, I was...
Yeah, he meant...
Color me concerned. Thank you.
He meant Last Jedi. Yeah, he says Darth Sidious, and of course I noticed it. I was like, duh!
Oh, sup, why does D-Rock look better than usual? I've been working out.
Awesome, says D-Rock. Okay, just more about Disney parks. I think that's pretty much going to do it for us today.
Well, thank you everybody for stopping by. It looks like we've had some, with your questions, we've had some pretty good segues, some pretty good conversations, learned a little bit. So, as always, thanks for stopping by. It's been a pleasure to talk with y'all.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.